Well, it'd be nice to have a look at this thing. Now, in my non-expert opinion, I think it's a cardboard box. Let's open this box up and find out what's actually inside it. Well, I know what's inside it, but obviously you don't. This is just for the purpose of doing a review video, having a look at it. I've not been paid for this in any way whatsoever. I haven't received any product, I haven't received any payment. This is just me having a look. So I'm not benefiting from this at all, apart from creating some content. So, just to be clear, I'm not being paid for this review. Power cable. We have some manuals, which I'm not going to show you yet. Oh, and you've got a USB cable at the bottom there as well. Now it's this new, not black colour. I prefer the beige personally. It's always very nicely taped up and sealed, and I'm rubbish at packing and folding and wrapping presents. Just ask my wife, I'm terrible. So I can't guarantee it's ever going to look anything like this ever again. They designed everything upside down. Even the logo is the wrong way up. Oh, right. As the title of the video is probably given away anyway, it's the SDG1022X Plus. It's an arbitrary waveform generator. This one's 25 megahertz. It's very small text on here, isn't it? Very small text. Let's get going. Yeah, 25 megahertz. Now these go up to 60 megahertz, if I remember rightly. I think there's like 3 models total in the range, but for the Western countries, there's only 2 models available. I think I've got that right. 1 gig of samples, and I think it's a 16-bit vertical resolution. But that doesn't say that. So dual channel, as usual. Rotary encoder, we'll test that, see how good that is. Siglents are known for having issues with rotary encoder reaction time and debouncing. On some of the models they were quite bad, other ones have been quite good. We'll see what this one's like. Just put there for doing like memory stick stuff, memory backup and screenshots I think. On the rear we have frequency counter input, aux in and out, 10 MHz in, 10 MHz out. I don't know what reference it's using in here. I'm guessing it's probably just a standard TCXO or BNCs. Automatic voltage selection, 100 to 240 volt. You can also do 400 Hz. LAN port and USB-B and an earth terminal. If you need to tie it to earth or provide an earth to like your ESD mat or something like that. I don't know if I'm allowed to tear this thing down or not. There's a cowl sticker here. But if Rob doesn't say no in the next 3 seconds, I'm going to open it. I didn't hear anything. So this has been given to me by Rob of Taupoki Technologies. He's a New Zealand dealer and agent for Siglent, so just on loan. But we should power this thing up and see what's going on. So we get the boring paperwork out of the way. Quick start guide. Just gets you up and running, tells you what the connections do. Information about some of it. Have a look, read it in your own time. Yes, it's got a knob, just to confirm that. Rear panel. Some screens. Like I said, read this in your own time. I'm just going to quickly show all the pages. I'm not going to read it myself. Okay, that's that. And then we've got a box content list to make sure we get everything that's supposed to arrive. Information about the unit. Calibration. CalCert. Confirming it's been done. This equipment has been used to check it. Interesting, he used a 5.5 digit multimeter. It's interesting. 6.5 digit and a 5.5 digit. Why did he use 2? Strange. DC power meter. Power meter, I can understand. Got 2 power meters, 2 multimeters, and a 2042X. Very interesting. I'm just don't get why they're using that particular equipment to calibrate this. I would have thought they'd been using something like an oscilloscope. Power meter I can understand. 2 different multimeters of power probes and a power supply. What's the power supply for? I mean, it's got a frequency counter input, so there's no signal sources apart from the 2042X, which is actually what I own. Yeah, I'll show you. I mentioned the 2042X in the cowl. Well, there's what I've got. So there's my 2042X. So that's mentioned in the cowl for this. Interestingly. I mean, I can understand using a power meter and a multimeter to check for like the RMS values of waveforms, but I would have thought oscilloscope would be more appropriate. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just surprised that's what it is. I've got my fingerprints all over it now. power button. How quick's the boot up time? There you go, it's booted. Don't know how long it was, hope you're counting. I wasn't. So let's fix this all wonky. So now we've got the front panel display. It has a fan which is actually fairly noisy. It's blowing out the right hand side. There's vents on each side, so it's blowing out that side. The fan on this is noisier than on my 2042X, to my perception right now. It sounds noisier. Okay, that may annoy some people. Something is noticeably there. Okay, so we've got channel 1 and channel 2. So you push those buttons, turn them on and off. These buttons do illuminate, but underneath my lighting you probably won't see that. See that there? Okay, now undo the illuminating. Other buttons here, you've got soft buttons along the bottom of the display here for doing different functions. So right now it's defaulting to 1 kHz. So we'll look at the soft buttons under each mode. Obviously, because we've got 2 channels, they're both going to be replications of each other. They're both going to be doing the same things. I need to show you on both channels, each one. Now the output here is set for 50 ohms. Now these are 50 ohms output, they aren't switchable, it's always 50 ohms, right? It says it here, really small 50 ohm symbol right there. On my 2042X, it's a much larger symbol, which is right here, makes it much more obvious. And it's actually a little bit of a distraction there, to be honest, in the 242. So down here is better, but I think it's a bit small. But once you know it's 50 ohms, you know, it's fine, I suppose. Your soft buttons do its functions, it will swap between each one. Alright. So each time you push it will change frequency and period. So you can see it's changing here between frequency and period. Amplitude, same thing. High level. So you've got high level, low level settings, and you've also got amplitude settings, so you can change whether it's an offset waveform or not. Okay, leave on amplitude. Offset here, so you can also do offset or low level. Right, so high level, low level, using those buttons, or if you're doing amplitude, you'd be amplitude and offset instead. Kind of the same thing in a way. Phase and delay, if you want those instead. Harmonics, on and off. Right, so it means you can artificially create harmonics if you need to, I suppose. Not something I've ever used, or even looked at, to be honest. And harmonic parameters in here. So types, so even, odd, all. Harmonic amplitude, harmonic phase. So if you want to artificially create those, you can. Like I said, it's not something I've ever played with, ever. I'm not sure my unit does it. Let's have a look. So modulation. So you've got AM, FM, PM, FSK, ASK, DSB, PSK, PWM. Internal modulation, or be external as well. AM depth, sine wave, square, triangle, up ramp, down ramp, noise, arbitrary. Sweeps, so frequency, start frequency, sweep time, sweep mode, amplitude and frequency. But this has got my amplitude and frequency. The other unit's only got time. Start and stop frequency, source internal, linear, up, down, trigger output, off. Burst mode, so look at that. Gated, infinite, short phase, period, internal, trigger. Parameter page, let you jump into these, so you can change various ones. Now one thing we're looking at was the encoder. How good is the encoder? Go really fast, it goes downwards even though I'm going up. Go slower, it's not too bad there. That sort of speed is doable. If you're just rolling it around your fingers like this, that's alright. If you're turning your hand like that, that's manageable. That's probably okay. And if I do the same thing on my unit, it's about the same actually. It's about the same as the other one. So it's behaving the same as the 2042X, which if you try and go fast, is not ideal. I'm trying to go fast here, upwards, doesn't do it. So in that case, if you want to do a big change, use the keyboard. Right, so if you want to go to say 2 for example, let's do kilohertz. Right, so yeah, that's no different there. So that's what the parameter button does, it goes into the screen settings. Utilities, let's go into system, what we got on here. Number format, points, with a space separator, yep, okay. That's fine. But I think I prefer commas myself. Maybe. It depends. I mean, I think I prefer points for major separators and commas for sub-separators. Languages. Bunch of languages in there, probably. Is that language in Chinese? I guess that's it. Power on setting, the default power on, or last, or user. I'm going to leave this on default because I don't want this stuff getting messed up. It'd be messing around with it, and you know, leaving it in some weird state for next time. Set to defaults. Beeper on is on. Yes. Screensaver is off. System info. Version 1.1.1.42 R2. I'm not the first person to turn this thing on. Firmware update button, so you can put a USB stick in here and then update the firmware off a file which you download. User interface style, you change the user interface to different colours. Alright, so different colour schemes you can use, depending on one you prefer. To me, this one, the normal style, matches these terminals on the front here. So, to me, that's better than this one because that's not green. Green is what's on my 2042X. This is blue. So this matches the 2042X. That matches this one. Well, there's a difference, I don't know. Why didn't I make that green? You see this again? Testing cow, the self-test in there. Testing cow. That's interesting. There's no cal option. Hidden buttons. Really? Has this thing got touchscreen? I didn't check for that. No, it doesn't have touchscreen. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, this isn't touchscreen. So, why has it got a touchscreen option in here? I think it's found a bug. Yeah. I guess I thought no one would push a button which isn't marked or anything. Yeah, oh. Okay, bug found. Counter. Yeah, okay, there's the counter. Turn on or off. Frequency, period, pulse width. End width, I don't know, it's not something I've ever used. Set up the counter. AC, DC, high frequency rejection, default. To default. Okay. And clear it. Right. How do I get back from here then? I guess I have to do that. Output setup. So load, it is 50 ohms always, but you can change the output measurements, I suppose. So if I say 50 ohms now, you see this amplitude changes. Okay. Realistically, the output doesn't change at all. But if you're going into, say, a 1 mega ohm load, or 10 mega ohm load, or whatever you're doing, you'd have it on high Z. It gives you the actual amplitude you're going to get as a result of that. If you're going to a 50 ohm system, such as an RF system, you know, like the RF port on a device or something like that, and you're using 50 ohms, then the voltage will drop as a reference to that. Okay, so the actual voltage you set will be correct. If you leave it on the wrong one, the output voltage you see may not be what you're actually getting. It doesn't actually change the output. This is just here to let you know that, hey, it's got that function on it. Normal polarity, inverted polarity. phase, wave combine, so you can actually link the two channels together and do all sorts of things with that. Yeah, that's fine. So you can decide what you're doing, how you're going to combine them. Okay, actually there was another page there, wasn't there? Max amplitude output, so you can limit the output if you want to protect your equipment. So if you want this to be limited, artificially limited, to protect equipment you may be connecting this to, you can turn it on. Power on state is on and off, so when you turn the power switch on, I don't know, but isn't that a hard power anyway, so does it matter? I'm sure. Interesting. Channel 1 copy coupling. Yes, so if you want to copy one to the other, so it sets them both up the same. So now it's copied it from one to the other. So I had this one played with, and I've been changing this one. It's on burst mode, things like that, and it's copied that all into channel 2. Interfaces, GPIB. There's our GPIB number. If you have a USB to GPIB adapter, which Siglent sell, you can use it on this. Lens state on and off. Then setup. But I will hook this up to my network. The reason this has LAN networking is that you can control it remotely. I believe this has also got a web server in it, so you can actually go to the web page. You go to like the IP address you put in this. You can go to that web page and actually go to it. So I just put in an IP address which is on my network. 192.168.5. No, dot doesn't take you to the next one. You have to do it that way. They should fix that. Push dot should insert the dot and go to the next step, just like pushing that. I've raised that on something else. What was that on a power supply? Power supply did the same thing, which is in the background just there. So I think 86 is free. 86. I think 86 is free on my network. Subnet, that one. Yeah, it's going to be 255. All of them. And gateway. This is hardly secret stuff, so it doesn't really matter showing it to you. Because I'm punching buttons and not looking at what I'm doing. Five, because it didn't do on the dot. Okay. And DNS, I don't think that really care. I better say actually. Oh, it's not that one. It's fine. Oh look, I've got a blank error message. That was a good one. See that? I found another bug. Yes. Blank error message. Good one, Siglent. Another bug. Okay. Does it work on all of these if I try and do a number which can't go in there? Yes. It's just the same. Of course I could have done DHCP, but then I wouldn't know what the there you go, that took a little while to save. But yeah, so having some blank error messages coming up, that's great. Also I missed in translation there. LXI stuff, in case you use any of that. I don't do much in my networking with my gear. I do have my gear networked, but I don't really use it that way. Okay. Web password, I'm not going to use that right now. Okay, so that's interface. Clock. Internal clock. 10 meg output's turned on. So you can switch between internal and external 10 megahertz references. Phase mode. Phase locked and independent. So this is where you're controlling two channels, and whether or not you want them to be linked together. Don't care. I don't intend to use two channels at once. I only pretty much ever use one. High voltage protection is turned on. I recommend you always leave that on. Next page, multi-device sync. So if you've got multiple devices, you can link them all together. In my case, I've only got one, so I'm not going to worry about that. But if you want to, you can hook them all up together, and then you link them in, and they communicate together and synchronize themselves. So if you're trying to generate multiple waveforms at the same time, more than two, you can do that. And then you've got a store and recall button as well. So if I had a USB flash drive in here, I could demonstrate saving setups and what have you, and recalling setups So if you've got a particular configuration you tend to use for doing certain types of tests or whatever you're doing, then you can save it to the flash drive and then recall it again later on if you need to recall that particular setup. I've got a flash drive on mine, but I don't tend to save setups. I'll just recreate them each time. Right, waveforms. Let's get into the guts of this thing. So, sine, square, ramp, pulse, noise, DC, arbitrary, multi-pulse, PRBS, and sequence. Multi-pulse, so you do different pulse timings. That's interesting. 2 pulses. Okay. Positive width, negative width. Right. Choose how many pulses you want to do. Multi-pulse perimeter. Pulse width. Pulse. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you can adjust each pulse. So if I wanted to do 10 pulses, and I could choose which pulse I'm trying to change, and it visually demonstrates it on screen as well. That's nice. Pulse index. Next pulse could be positive pulse. Yeah, so you can actually see what it's doing there as well. Cool. S rate, amplitude, high level, low level, other thing like you got on the other screen originally, which I showed at the very beginning. Pulse counts, multi-pulse, which I just did. Trigger settings, manual triggering, internal, external, or timer. Nice. Trigger button, so you get that will be triggering it. Okay. And that's changed on both channels, so currently this channel is following this channel. That's that setting I did in the utilities, didn't it? So now it always copies one to the other. Return back to waveforms. Let's just go back to sine wave. PRBS is something I've got no experience with. I don't know what this is. I think Rudy did a video on it with some Bowden Sports equipment as well. You know, there's some issues with it. I think if I'm thinking of the right thing. This is something I don't know anything about. Sequence. Running. Okay. There's some other stuff in here. Sequence settings. Linear. Okay. Steps. Right. So next page. Next page. I don't know what any of this does. I can't tell you. Sequence isn't something I've played with, and so I can't tell you much about that. Although it probably means it's something I should probably look at in more detail. Decimation. Running's got a typo. It's only got one N. Should be 2 N's. Sequence edit. There we go. So it looks like what you can do here is actually add different functions in like a sequence, which is what's called a sequence mode. But yeah, I don't know. It's something like that. yeah. That's sort of saying, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. So I've just gone to the web interface, and here it is. There's a web address I programmed in, 86, and this is the welcome page you get. So this is the basic information about the device, software version like I showed before, LAN configuration, which seems silly to have it on here in a way, because if you change this you might lose communication with the device. Be careful about that. Probably more useful for information than anything else. Your instrument control just here, which allows you to control the device, and your Skippy commands as well. So in here you can send individual Skippy commands to the device to control it in certain ways and do certain functions, but maybe you want to try and send a test sequence or something like that, you could do that maybe. But this is the main thing here. I think you're probably going to be using this. And you can change channels like this by clicking on these parts. Unfortunately my cursor doesn't show up. I wish it did show up. You can click on different parts. I wish it did show the cursor. So you can click on different sections, like click on that bit there, or that one there, and that one there to change those settings directly. You want to change the resistance, you can change that down there. Not having a cursor showing up is quite annoying. Load output on and off. Okay, let's control that. Screenshot, if you click on that, it will actually do a screenshot and download it. So if you want to store what your configuration is for a particular time, you can do that. This button here allows you to full screen it. I'm not going to do that right now. Back to frequency. And there's harmonic stuff as well. And same deal, we can click on these and change things in here if you really want to. So that's all fully controllable from the web interface. I actually think this is easier to use than using it on the front panel of the unit. Because you can just, if you want to go, I want to change that, just click on it. Instead of going, where's that control? You know, it's just easier. I'm going to spec off again. So, load output. Let's change that. Click it, change it. Instead of going to the control system and doing that. This is much easier to use here from that aspect. Waveforms, just click on that. Does that allow us to choose waveforms? Yes, it does. Alright, so choose the waveforms in there. And get back by going onto that. And click over here as well. Yeah, so clicking on the waveform allows you to change it. And things like that. So you got a sequence mode, which I was looking at before, trying to figure out how to actually use it. Can I type numbers in? I can type numbers in from my keyboard. Yeah, so I can do that. Can I do arrow keys? Yep, I can use arrow keys as well to bring it down. That's also possible. Okay. Arrow keys are not doing it there. No, they're not. I have to type. Okay. So yeah, I mean it is all working alright. You're clicking exactly the right spot. Click your target's a bit small in some places. Okay, click up there and get the main parameter stuff as well. You can get all that too from in there. Excellent. Okay. Does that also do this weird thing? So the soft button, which brought up the screen calibration, doesn't work in here, which is good because it's not supposed to work. So that was interesting. Click up there. So click up there once in the bar at the top. I know you can't see the cursor, but I'm clicking the bars at the top for each channel. Clicking it once to change channels, clicking it again to get the other options here. So that's also very useful, double clicking. It works fine. Yeah. Help it on. Help it off. Yeah, I think this interface is actually easier to use than the front of the unit. So if you are going to do this, and you are going to put in your network, it might be easier. I'm not going to hook it up to a scope or anything and look at the waveforms. I mean, it's a waveform generator. I'm sure it does that perfectly fine, as you would expect, as per specifications. So I don't really think there's much point in hooking up to a scope and demonstrating that. I wanted to show the menu system and to see how it compared to my other unit and see what's in here. And take a look at the web interface and see how well that worked as well. And that seems to be pretty good, actually. Seems to be pretty good. I believe these are hackable between models. So I think you can actually get this 25 MHz version and turn it into a 60. I think you can. Information on the EV blog forum, I'm sure. So check that out. These appear to be quite a nice option. I mean, if you like the colour scheme, great. I prefer the beige myself. I mean, it's okay, this colour scheme, I suppose. I'm getting used to it a little bit because I've got the power supply over here. You know, it's like, and they match. It's a cohesive system. So, it does match, but yeah, I'm a bit of an old school guy. I like the beige. Boring beige. Anyway, thanks for offering these to me. Catch you later.